All right, we're back. It's COMP305. It's Game Programming 1. And what we're talking about today for this one, there's going to be a couple things I'm going to talk about. One is we had our hackathon on the weekend. It was Varsity Hack for those people who came out. We had a pretty good time. There's lots of learnings involved. And we had, I know Vanessa was there. She was doing some maker stuff with her. You can sit with her engineering friends. That's what we did there. And we also had other people. It was a great experience. Highly encourage you guys to come out the next time. It was a great plan. Also, we had Pedro from he was our first year student. He came out, he did a game in Unity, and it was a very little experience, I guess, with Unity and the whole system. So it was a good opportunity for people to come out and work on some stuff. I know there's going to be more to come on that one in 2016. We're going to have another one. And there's going to be other things going on before the end of the year, I know, around Toronto. So if you're interested in joining a hackathon or something like that, it's actually kind of the new mode in terms of getting hired, getting noticed. A lot of interviews are done now in the hackathon format where they test your capabilities and your ability to persist and complete something. And also game jams are also very popular as well. So you're going to have either a game jam or hackathon is something that you're going to see. One of the questions I got from the morning class was, does that mean we hack, like as in like hack into like, you know, NASA or something? And the answer is no, we don't do anything like that. We hack code, right? So we try and hack some code together and use an interface to create a some kind of application or game. And that's what we did on the weekend for the most part. So we're going to talk about our game design document, and that's one of the things that you guys are having trouble for assignment number 1. I've been hearing that assignment number 1, they're like, game design document, I've never done it before, I don't know what to do. Template that I threw up on onto eCentennial. So if you go on eCentennial, under content, there'll be a document that looks like, let me show what it looks like here. Like this, right? So go up on eCentennial, you can certainly take a look, right? So what I have here is a, so your logo would go here. Actually, let's map it to the actual assignment. So if we go back to your assignment number 1, and I'm just going to kind of go over the same stuff I went over with the group in the morning. So assignment number 1 requires you, when I look at the external document, it says a company logo. So if I go back, and I look at the external document. Here's my external document. Here's my company logo. There's 2 titles. There's the first title, which kind of says in this document, it says, some people put their assignment number 1 here, like they say assignment 1, and then space shooter or sorry, shooter, 2D shooter, and then here they put the title of their game. I'd rather you do it the other way around. Put your game up here. And the square brackets, obviously, you can take them away. For anything you see square brackets, you're going to replace, right? And anything here in this second title, which is the type of the document subtitle, you put assignment 1 2D shooter. This way you put that one in. This is the version of your game, right? So again, if you're version 0.2 or 0.3, and how do you get the versions? The more often you commit, when you reach kind of a point where you've got a working game and you've added something to it, like you might hand in 0.2 or 0.1 of your game, depending on what you want to go to. If you're really detailed, you might give me something like version 0.15, so you've done 5 commits, minor little changes, and and you hand it in this game, or you might do 13 commits, so then maybe you would have had 0.113. Depending on how you want to do things, you might go into that kind of hierarchy from a versioning perspective, right? Again, all work copyright 2015 by your title, by the name of your company, and you're going to make your own company name. And then, of course, your author's name, who made this thing, that's you, right? And maybe a student number would be nice, right? And an email address maybe would be even nicer, right? So contact information for you. And then the date you're handing it in, which will be today's date, because it's due tonight at midnight, right? And anything that you see square brackets, even in this header, you would replace this information so it makes sense. In your table of contents, you make sure that they detail the stuff that you're looking at, so they point to it. That's where your table of contents is. Again, you put your version number and all that stuff in the bottom. So in your footer, so you just double click here, put your version number of the actual name of the game. And then in your version history, again, in the square brackets you notice here, the document title would be the name of your game. In your version history, you put in, kind of a remapping of your Git repository, right? So you put your commits here, and maybe at the top, what I'd like to see is a link to your Git repository. So if you have your, github.com/, and let's say that your name is Vanessa, that's the name of your account, V Barber, I guess, I don't know, whatever you choose to call it, right? Or something else like Funny Bunny, right? I'm just making it up, right? Whatever you chose to make, that github.com / and your account name would be up here, and then / the name of your project, your name of your repo, right? That's what I want to see here. And then underneath that, kind of a list of your commits. You can take a snapshot of your commit screen. Where is that? So if I go to GitHub, and if you look at your commits, so I'm going to go to one of the ones I was looking at today. So let's go to this one. Here's the Mail Pilot demo, and I have 19 commits. So I might call my project 0.19. I might do that, or 0.119, whatever. That's the number of commits I have. As an example, these are all the changes that I've made. So I might take a snapshot of these, or just copy these in a list form without the commit number and all that stuff. So, and we convert this into a list that I'm going to kind of include here. And usually what I'll do is, just like it says here in the commits, so if I go back, you have a date. So on October 5th, that was today, I did these. And then on September 30th, I did all those. And then September 28th, I did these, and so on. You can see kind of a history of how I built this application, right? One thing at a time. So those are the kind of things that you want to kind of put in as your commit history. And you can actually put a version, like this is version, obviously this first day, maybe I had version 0.02, or something like that there. And then finally I moved up to, version 0.19 or however I decide to do it. You decide. Okay, so that's that piece. And if you notice, I'm down here we've kind of covered on your external document, your company logo, your table of contents, your version history. Okay, let's go back to the next piece. So there's game overview, and it's asking for a detailed game description. That's a good place to put it in. So replace the text here, right, where it says, ensure you mention the goal of the game and how to win. Put your overall game description there, right, of how you play the game, what's the game about. I didn't ask for game mechanics or camera. So what do you do in that case? Josh, what do you think you do? Take it out. That's what you do. Just go like this, take them out. Don't leave anything blank in here, right? If it doesn't apply to your game, remove them, right? And then if you look down here, and that's why I recommend, you're always going to have a template available online. If you go online, that template's not going to go away, right? So you can always download the template again for next assignment, right? But I would take out the stuff for this assignment. So controls I'm asking for, so put in some details about controls. Talk about your controls there, right? Are you using your mouse, your joystick? Are you using arrow keys? What are you using, right, to control your game? Probably arrow keys or WASD, right? So put them in there. This is the part that confuses people sometimes. I'm asking for an interface sketch, right? A sketch, not screenshot. And then I'm asking for screenshots. Two things. So interface sketch would be if you actually had a plan, which most of you never had a plan. You're just going to make this document after you've done your game most of the time. So this is bad. That's how people do it. They go, oh, damn, Tom has asked me for an external document, so I'm going to make one, right? So that's kind of, putting the, it's backwards. Let's put it that way. What you want to do is you want to plan first, put up a sketch of what your game is going to look like, right, from a planning perspective. Then after your game is running, you do some screenshots, say, this is what my plan was, and this is how it actually turned out, right? So plan versus actual, right? And that's what these two things are. So where would you put them in your document? You'd probably put them under your interface sketch, right? And your menu and screen descriptions. So interface sketch goes here, menu and screen descriptions goes here, and you have these two sections here that for those pages. So you see, I've kind of organized this according to the document, right? Okay, next. So that's those two. Characters and vehicles. Well, it's either a character or a vehicle that your main object is your avatar. One of the two. If it's like for me, if I'm making Mail Pilot, so it'd be a vehicle, right? It's a plane. For you, maybe you're having some kind of funky character, like a funny bunny, right, Vanessa? Something like that. Vanessa, I'm sorry, I'm not trying to say anything. But anyways, you know, some kind of funny, you know, avatar. Then you put a character in there as well. And then you describe what your character looks like. Maybe do a little bit of a screen capture for that one. Same thing with enemies. So describe your enemies. If you notice here, so let's go back. Here's character. So I didn't ask you for about game world or level or game progression. So what you do, take them out, right? So you just remove those. But your characters, I'm asking for that one. I'm not asking for non-player characters, so you take that out. But I am asking for enemies, so you probably put some details in there about your enemies, right? What or hazards, if you will. That's another one, a name for enemies, right? And then talk about your scoring. That's the next piece that I want you to put. So talk about your scoring, which is down here, and also things like a sound index, if where you got your sounds from in a table. So where you got your sounds, did you make them yourself? What are the sounds? Are they WAV files? Are they OGG files? What are they? And then some kind of art multimedia index goes at the bottom where you have where you got your art from, what website did you use, did you get them from the asset store, you know, some basic stuff. What I haven't asked for are things like design notes and future features, but anything that you want to include, if you want to add stuff to this document, like extra stuff that I haven't asked for, you can certainly fill in every section if you want to. It may not all apply, however, right? But if you want to, you really could. I'm not going to stop you from doing that, right? You could not use this document. I'm just putting it up for your convenience. You don't have to use this document. This is just for you, right? So it's just because the external document is worth 8 points out of 41, right? Let's take a look. 8 points out of 41, right? That's a pretty good, that's almost like 25%. Hold on a second. Then you got your internal documentation, which is a bunch of comments for 5 more marks. So that's 8 and 5 is 13 out of 41, definitely over 25% there. And now we've got 4 marks for GitHub, for version control, right? So if you're lousy, and let's say all you do is you put your GitHub, your stuff on GitHub, and you never did a commit, right? You never use GitHub for your project, right? Like I've been doing. Then you're only going to get 2 marks. So if you get, but let's say if you did everything correctly, you're going to get 4 marks for this. You're going to get 8 marks for that's 12, plus another 5, right? That's 17 points, if you will, out of 41. That's almost a pass without having any functionality, right? So these are stupidly easy, free marks, in my opinion, to get, right? They're easy marks. So please don't disclude or forget to add your external document. That would be bad, right? Also, in what I've also asked you to do in your game is if you add additional things in there. Let's say you add some bonus features, like for example, you know, adding a power up for your player, or some kind of boss monster. Or if you added a soundtrack, which is ridiculously easy to do for an extra mark, right? Hint, hint. Then put it in. Say, I've added a soundtrack in, Tom. Here's my bonus features. Please give me marks for these, you know, kind of thing. So that way, it's easy for me to find them. And where am I going to put these? In my external document, right? You could also mention your bonus features inside your submission, right? When you make a submission, you can add some comments, and you can put it in and say, by the way, I've added some extra features in here. Please give me extra marks, because I've added some additional things that went outside of the scope of your requirements, right? So please do that. And if you notice, there's 2 things I want. I want an external document, right? Either a Word or PDF document, and your folder, a zip archive of your Unity folder file, your whole folder, and a link to GitHub, because that way I have one or the other. So just in case your GitHub link fails, or let's just suppose if you're one of these people that didn't use GitHub for whatever silly reason, right, and you want to throw 4 marks away, right, then at least give me a link to your project file so I have a backup if I can't download your stuff and install it from GitHub, or if you made a mistake somehow and you didn't give me all your files and somehow I can't run it, because eventually I'm going to have to run your code, right? And I don't want to spend a dog's age downloading everything and rebuilding your project so I can test it and so I can give you marks. Okay, make it easy for me as much as possible, right? Remember, every day that you're late is 20%. So if you don't hand it in by tonight, tomorrow it's out of 80, right? Wednesday it's out of 60, right? And by Thursday you failed. It's out of 40. Best case, right? So I will give you part marks regardless, even if you hand it in and it's late. Regardless of what I do, I always give you part marks. So there's always a good reason to hand it in. Please, if you don't hand it in, if I don't have anything to look at, I can't give you any marks for it. Okay, so that's just going over the assignment details. So any questions around that? I wanted to talk about the external game design document, just so that way you have an idea of what I'm looking for. Some people think this is a pain in the ass. Yep, it is. It's a pain in the ass, but it's a requirement in the real world. They do game design documents. If you're going to go and do a hackathon tomorrow again, it's always a great tool to use to collect all the information about your game, so you can remember what you did, and that way you can get back to it and you understand what you were building here, right? And it's also a good brief of what the game is about when you want to produce this or give it to somebody else who can give you additional funding so you can continue your project, right? So game design document is something we use to communicate between different developers. And for the final product, especially from a company perspective, it's mostly required. Please do not leave this out. This is something that's going to bite you again and again, because the next assignment number 2 is always also going to require it, and assignment number 3, and your final project, right? So if you get really good at copying and pasting here, right, which is the worst case scenario, and you have your logo, you've done it once, and you copy and paste it, and you kind of added in the sections that you need, you could probably bang this external document out pretty quick, and so you get your marks. Please don't not include things either. Like if you remove things, and if you look at where I've spread the marks out, an example of this would be if I look for marks, half a mark here, half a mark there. If you look at all the little things, once you add these little things up, it becomes marks, and then that would be really bad. Okay, so that's it for this. Any other questions before we cut to a new recording? Because I want to kind of put this in one so people can go back and look at this later on. So no other questions or comments? Again, this is due tonight at midnight, so please get this done. 20% deduction every day late. Okay, thanks. And we'll go to the next recording.